Hey, Cindy Daychuck here with Queen Bee Creations and coming at you with another quick little project. You know, Valentine's Day is coming up and I don't know about you, but we don't do a lot for Valentine's Day. But I wanted to do a cute little project for in the shop here. And as much as we're still in lockdown, I'm not going to be making a lot of them because nobody's going to be in here to see them. But I thought you might be able to put something like this together, especially if you're still in lockdown. Have a little bit of fun, decorate your place up, treat people a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to be taking some of these wooden heart shapes. Super easy to find on Amazon because most craft stores are closed. But if you've got a local craft store you can pop into, they're going to have them. I've got a 6-inch and a 3-inch. And we're going to turn them into these cute little hanging heart ornaments. So whether you hang it from a doorknob, whether you would adorn a gift with them, super cute, super easy. Let's get started. Okay, so for this little Valentine's craft, I have 2 wooden hearts. These are craft hearts I picked up on Amazon. I'll put the link into the video in case you want to nab some for yourself. 6-inch and a 3-inch. And I am just going to base coat both of them. So for this, I actually like to, we're gonna be decoupaging on this one, but I like to make sure that I have it nice and smooth, that if I've got a color that echoes through my napkin or the paper, the tissue paper perhaps, if you're doing it with tissue paper, that it's a color that's going to work with my design, that's going to it's going to kind of enhance it, and it's super quick. So I like to do the edges, and I ultimately like to finish the back as well. We don't have to paint the back of the little one because it's going to be adhered onto the front, but I do like to paint the back of the big heart just so that the finished piece looks finished. I'm going to be painting the big one in white. I could have used a cream, but I had white on hand because I'm going to be using this napkin. To be able to complement it, I'm actually going to paint the little heart in DIY's French Millinery, which is a very lovely pale muted lavender kind of color. So I'm just going to base coat the big one in white, and again I'll let the top dry as I go to work on the small one. And the nice thing about working with DIY paint is that it dries so quickly. So I'll set this off to dry while I'm working on this one, and I'm just going to kind of offload my brush a little bit and use the same brush because I'm lazy. There we go. And these generally have one side that's nice, one that's not as nice. These little ones, they've got a nice side on both, actually. And because I'm not going to be decoupaging this, I do want to make sure that I get the edges of this so that it looks nice and finished on our piece, which means you do get fingertips that are a little bit painted, but no big deal. And typically as well, because this is going to be the side that we see, we're going to be putting writing on this or lettering on this one. I will do 2 coats on this and then sand it lightly just so that it's nice and smooth for our letters to be able to adhere onto it. So super simple, 2 coats of the lavender. I'm going to do paint the back of this piece, and the back I'll do 2 coats on, just 1 coat on the front because I'm going to be decoupaging over top of it, and then we'll come back for the next step. Next step, these have just been lightly sanded, they've got their paint on them. The next step is our decoupaging step. So for this, I'm just using a paper napkin. Whatever paper napkin you're using, it could be a 2-ply or a 3-ply. I don't think they go any higher than that, but you need to separate it. So you need to go to a corner, and I started a corner because mine have slight little perforations all around the edges, which is designed to keep the layers together, but it's a bit of a pain to separate. So you have to actually separate out the layers, get rid of that extra piece so that you're down to just the final piece that you need. And for this is gonna fit, let me grab a pair of scissors, is gonna fit just in one of these corners. So I'm gonna save the other three quadrants for more of them. But what works nicely too is that it means that these little ridges from the fold, so the fold lines aren't going to be part of my design. Quite honestly, if decoupaging means that those lines are going to be part of my pattern, I will iron the napkin out just slightly to eliminate that because I am that picky. So I'm just turning this. I was looking to see which way the pattern goes so that the pattern will go upright. You may have a design that doesn't have an up or down, so in which case, don't worry about it. And you can see that I just have little plastic mats that I do a lot of my crafting on, although this is a pretty durable table, and for the most part I use water-soluble paint. So for this, all I have is basic Mod Podge, which again, you can get on Amazon, you can get at Michael's, you probably already have. You could use some watered down white craft glue, or you could have any decoupage medium of your choice. So it's not a do or die thing. And we are just going to paint it all over the surface. If you see me doing some decoupaging, I just did a dresser with drawers, and it's a big surface area, then I typically prefer to do the iron-on method. So if you haven't seen that or know what I'm talking about, go and catch the decoupage dresser video, and you'll see that. Because this is such a small project, and it's not really as big a deal, it's just a small surface area, I'm okay with doing this wet. So all I want to do is push this down so it's centered. And I'm actually gonna leave that here until it kind of is pretty much dry. And we want this to be dried for our next step. So we are just going to wait. Our little heart is dry enough for us to be able to do the next step, and that's really to be able to cut away this paper. You've got two ways of doing this. You can either flip it over and take an X-Acto knife and cut around the edge, which is fine, or you just take a sanding block and you sand off against the edge, and you can see that it immediately starts to just cut your paper away. And for me, this tends to be the quickest, easiest way to go, and I am big on quick and easy. So you just kind of go all the way around. And let's get that little edge. And it's done. It gives you a nice edge on there, and so much easier than the X-Acto knife. The next step is we need to seal this, and you could use Mod Podge again. You can use a poly of your choice. I'm just going to use Mod Podge because that's what I've got out, but I want it sealed before I add the other hard-ons. So we're going to just seal this up, and all we're going to do is just kind of loosely paint over it. So we're putting a protective coating over top of our napkin. And it helps it adhere better. I like to get the edges as well as I'm doing this, because if it's going to lift off, it will typically be where the edges are. So we're just doing a quick coat, and we're going to set this aside to dry. But we've got another step to do with our other little heart. And all I'm doing right now is, usually when you put this final coat on, you'll see some sections of it start to bubble up just a little bit. That's perfectly normal. But as I wipe against the bubble, I'm kind of pushing the air toward the sides and letting it escape, allowing this to stay nice and flat. Okay, so we're gonna put that aside. And just before I make that run, now what I want to do is I'm gonna seal this as well, but I wanna actually get my lettering on there. Okay, so I want to put the word love on this. And really, you've got a couple of ways to go. If you have really nice handwriting and you're awesome at it, take a paint pen, write the word love on it. Me, not so good with the handwriting. Pretty much illegible most of the time. So that's not my preferred way. You could take any kind of scrapbooking lettering and you could stick the letters on. I do have a Cricut, I'm looking at where I put the letters. I do have a Cricut that I use for making my own stencils for my furniture. And that's pretty much all that I've used it for. So I'm not very Cricut savvy, but I have brought it into the shop and I am looking at trying to use it a little bit more for maybe some signs and being able to do nicer lettering. So what I did do is I printed out the word love. It comes in reverse. I've picked it up. I'm thinking that now I just need to center it on my piece and peel that sticky paper back. But I don't know for sure if that's how this works. Okay, it does, except the paper is stickier than my letters are. And of course, I went for super tiny, super skinny letters, so making it a little bit more challenging here. Phew, okay, awesome. Pick thicker letters until you're good at this. All right, oh, but I like these. Look at that. Look at how cute that little love is. All right, so these are sort of adhered on, but I'm gonna want to cover the whole piece also with some poly, seal those letters down on, seal the paint up. But again, I've got the decoupage medium, so I'm just gonna use that. And it would work to do the same thing. All right, and now we have dry time again. Okay, so we have both of our hearts decorated and ready to go. We're gonna do the finishing touches. And for this, I'm just gonna be using a little bit of hot glue, and I'm going to attach the small heart to the big heart. And you could use a craft glue if you want. I just want this to dry fairly quickly so I can move on with the project. And I'm going to be using it for some of the decorations. So here I'm just looking to sort of center this a little bit. And by that I'm lining up kind of the top of the heart and the tip of the heart with my piece. And sticking it down into the center. Okay. Now, this bigger heart, I'm gonna want this one to hang. So this bigger heart has a little hole in it. The smaller heart has a hole as well, which is actually a little heart. So it was nice that that's the one that shows. And all I'm going to do is take a little bit of ribbon. You could use whatever kind of ribbon, contrasting ribbon. This is all I got in the shop. Didn't come prepared with a nice lavendered or lacy ribbon, but this will work for my purposes. And I'm just going to insert it through, take those pieces, pull them through that loop. That way it's going to hang nice and flat, and just tie off the end of that ribbon. What I want to do I mean, it's already looking super cute. But all I'm gonna want to do is embellish it a little bit. And so I just looked for a couple of little flowers that I had lying around in the shop. I've always got some dried flowers and some silk flowers here to be able to stage furniture and to decorate up the showroom a little bit. So all I'm going to do is glue a couple of these down a little bit. I just cut them apart, looked for some that were kind of the right scale and a color that I'd like. So I'm just gluing down 2 leaves. And I found a couple of little rosebuds. I think I had some daisies, and I think the little daisies would be super sweet as well. Again, just whatever kind of suits or matches the paper that you're using. So something that kind of works along with the look of it, and that's then going to kind of suit overall the project that you had in mind. So I have 3 little roses, little miniature roses, and as always, odd numbers work best. Let's just get those to sit down how I want them on the top of the heart. So I had 2 slightly bigger ones and 1 smaller. So I'm going to put the 2 bigger ones facing downward on my project. And I'm going to take this littler one, and I'll stick the glue in this way. So it helps hold those 2 down and holds this little one down. So it just kind of sits up at the top there. And that's it. There's our finished little heart. Super cute, not difficult at all. You can see that you could really go a lot of different ways here depending upon the colors that you choose, the napkins that you choose, and similarly, you could use the same idea for all kinds of different seasons. You can get the big wood cut out Easter eggs, so with Easter coming up, or different shapes, and do something similar depending upon the season that you're in. Give it a try. I think that you'll have a lot of fun with it, and it makes a super cute little decoration.